And with that, the 2025 Miami Dolphins preseason has come to an end. They defeat the Jacksonville Jaguars 14-6 and end the preseason 2-0-1. Another undefeated season technically in the books for the Dolphins. But to begin all of this, want to say we begin in 2 weeks, Dolphins versus Colts. I will be live for that game, as well as for the entire NFL season. I will be live for every primetime game, every Dolphin game, and a few games sprinkled there in between. So stick around, subscribe, leave a like, really appreciated. Now let's get into my thoughts for this game and kind of the preseason as a whole. To begin with the special teams, Malik Washington and D. Eskridge are probably going to be your two main return mans this season for Miami. I expect Malik Washington to be the punt returner and then both of them being the kick returners. Both of them surprised me a lot with how good of a job they did at return man, as well as good of a job they did as receivers as a whole. I'll get into more about Malik Washington as a receiver later on. But D. Eskridge, he's going to be a receiver 5 or 6 for this team, going to be probably a primary return man, but he is a pretty damn solid player and definitely worth a spot on the 53-man roster. Jake Bailey won the punter battle earlier in this week, and we saw a bit of more of him in this one. Few punts there, all pretty nice punts. Did a good job helping out with the field position in this game, which was a very important thing in this game. But he had to do emergency kicker duties, of which he had one kick from about 49, 51 yards out, and it did not go well. So a lot of Dolphins fans were very confused on why that was even the case in the first place. Well, it turns out that Jason Sanders, after Miami's first touchdown, had to go into the locker room with a trainer and was not seen the rest of the game. When talking about it during his post-game press conference, Mike McDaniel said that Sanders is not a concern for him and that Sanders was willing to kick extra points, but that he decided against it to that way and play it safe so that way Sanders will be ready for week 1. With that being said, if Sanders is not available for week 1, I have a few names to throw out there for guys that I feel like we can put on the roster for a week or two and be just fine with it. The first name is Rodrigo Blankenship. He was a former Colts kicker and had played with the St. Louis Battlehawks last season in the UFL. Did a really damn good job. Had a long of 56 and only missed a single kick during his time in the UFL last season. Definitely someone that we can bring, that I feel like Miami could bring in if it is a relatively longer absence of Jason Sanders, which it doesn't feel like that would be the case, but this is a worst case scenario. You bring in Blankenship and you do really good with him. The other name is Matt McCrane, also a UFL kicker. He played for the DC Defenders the past 2 seasons. And while he's not the most highest percentage, he was he was a 75% kicker these past 2 seasons, was 70% last year, 80% in 2024. But he has a really good leg to him, and for a very brief stint potentially needed as a kicker, I like what Matt McCrane can do. But again, it seems like Jason Sanders will be just fine. The defense saw the field first in this one, and we'll start talking about them there. And they really did surprise me this preseason, especially that front seven. I knew the front seven was going to be really good, but man, did they play really well throughout this entire preseason. Top Robinson had a free rush on the very first play of scrimmage in this one, getting a sack, and not long after, Willie Gay had a free rush as well. Then you have Bradley Chubb, who was all over the place during that first quarter, alongside both Phillipses, both Jalen and Jordan, and all around looked really solid. Kenneth Grant did not play in this game. He's nursing an injury, but should be good to go for week 1, according to McDaniel. And it seems like that's pretty much going to be our front seven. It's going to be the 4-headed monster of Matt Judon, Chop Robinson, Jalen Phillips, and Bradley Chubb, alongside Zeeler and Kenneth Grant. And then Jordan Brooks, who also missed this one due to nursing injury. Tyrell Dodson, Willie Gay, and KJ Britt, who played pretty solid in this game as well. Benito Jones, I'm not too sure how I feel. I liked him last year. He played solid, but in this one, kind of just didn't do enough. And especially with how much of an overperformance it feels that Jordan Phillips and Zeke Biggers have been this preseason, it might be tough for Benito Jones to crack the roster, but we'll see. But nonetheless, we should have pretty much our starting front seven all for the game against the Colts, which at this point, it feels like that game is a must win against the Colts in week 1, but I'll go into more on that towards the end of all of this. Chop had a second sack as well in this game after a high snap, which also saved some points. And we talk about KJ Britt. The secondary has been the main point of discussion about this defense this offseason. And honestly, after this preseason, I feel a lot better than I did about the secondary entering the preseason. Jack Jones and Storm Duck was the starting corner pair in this game, and they played pretty well, all things considered. Yes, it was against the Jaguars' second string offense, but they still played really damn solid. Mika Fitzpatrick had a pretty brief stint playing in this one and played pretty damn well. All around, this is a secondary that is 100% feeling like it's going to be a serviceable secondary, especially if the front seven is as dominant as we expect it to be. And that is a massive, massive good thing to gather after all this. John Saunders Jr. had the game-sealing interception in this game. That is the third interception in this preseason for the Dolphins defense. Patrick McMorris had one to begin, and then we had the one last week to seal it. I believe if Ethan Robinson, I believe was his name. I'm sorry for forgetting that. But yeah, all around, secondary played pretty well in the preseason. Very hard to gauge, of course, when we'll see how they play come week one. But now going into the offense, and it's a very mixed bag with the offense. The starters looked fine against Jacksonville today. Didn't really like how the offensive line played. Larry Borom got the starter right tackle in this one due to Austin Jackson still being out with injury, and I really hope Austin Jackson will be available come week one, because if he's not, that's going to be a very tough offensive line to watch, it feels. Though, again, the left side and Aaron Brewer looked pretty solid in this one, the same way they have in most of the preseason. I like what I'm seeing out of them. Pharaoh Brown didn't play the greatest. He had that one pass protection situation that he got destroyed in. He did catch a 2-point conversion to begin this game, so there is that aspect of it all. Tyreek did not play at all this preseason, and from what I've heard from reports, he has not really done a whole lot this training camp in general, and I don't really love that. We'll see how that affects the regular season, and he did also have the wrist surgery during the offseason, so there is that. But yeah, with how last season ended, I would have really liked to see Tyreek get some actual game action this preseason, but again, all time will tell on that. There were two massive standout players from this offense this entire preseason. Malik Washington being the first one. He played incredibly well this preseason. Probably got himself the receiver 3 spot on this team, jumping Nick Westbrook and Keeney. But if not, he's definitely going to be receiver 4 and definitely going to be an impact player at receiver for this team. Incredibly elusive, made men miss constantly, and had very reliable hands in this preseason. The other standout name is rookie Ollie Gordon, who I said during the offseason recap video all the way back there that I was really excited for Ollie Gordon being a Dolphin, and he could be a great player. And even then, he still surprised me with how well he played. I loved how Ollie Gordon played this preseason. Very physical running out of Gordon, which is something that Miami desperately needs. He can definitely be our short yardage back. And then he did a fantastic job as well in pass protection. This game alone showed that Ollie Gordon can 100% be a starting running back in the NFL. The way he was able to pick up blitzes in this game was phenomenal and exactly what Miami needs out of someone in the backfield. There's a very good chance he's running back 2, and there's a very good chance we see him a lot this season with 2 running back sets alongside Devon Achane, who can line up out wide and you keep Ollie Gordon inside in the pocket. Going to be a very interesting situation for McDaniel to have there. Taj Washington also played well this preseason, made some plays in this one for Zach Wilson, who, honestly, this might have been Zach Wilson's best game, which is not a lot to say for this preseason. But the question is, did he do enough to earn the backup job compared to Quinn Ewers? And I'm really not sure. I would not be surprised if we carry both of them into the regular season and kind of just continue that competition there. But it's going to be a tough gauge. The ideal situation is neither of them see the field this season. But with Tua's track record, you kind of have to expect one of them to see the field at some point. And it's just, who do you want to see the field in this case? I'm not really favoring either of them. After this, Quinn Ewers played fine in this game. Didn't really do a whole lot in the second half, in the fourth quarter. But still played fine. Both made some pretty good throws throughout the game. But still, just a case of, you better hope Tua stays healthy. The preseason, I feel like it went pretty well, went better than I expected it was going to. And now all eyes shift to the Indianapolis Colts in week 1. I mentioned at the top of this that I feel this is a must-win game, and that is because you played them so close last season when you were incredibly banged up and they were relatively healthy. And now you're going to be at your healthiest you're going to be this season, and the Colts are throwing out Daniel Jones. If you're going to be taken as a legit team this season and be that contender that you feel like you can be with this roster, you need to be able to handle business against the Colts to begin the season. But that is 2 weeks away, and I'll be live for that game as well as the Thursday night opener between the Cowboys and Eagles, and the Sao Paulo game between the Chiefs and Chargers. I'll see you all there next week. On Wednesday, there's a pretty special video that I've been working on for nearly a year going up. And then right after that, we have power rankings and predictions, and it's right on to the NFL season. See you all there. Have yourselves a damn good one. Peace.